All right. So, fourth take of this video. um, Essentially, this video is about how to motivate yourself back into action. If, for example, like this week, I was sick and I missed a few days, and then I also was busy one day and I really wasn't able to do a whole lot of stuff that I wanted to do. So, today, which was the only day that I was actually like free to do whatever I wanted, I found myself not motivated, or at least not willing to do the things I wanted to do. And two things need to occur. First, you need to acknowledge the fact that you're not motivated, and two, you need to assess whether or not that reason is justified. Um, and for me, that could be that for me, because a lot of the stuff I've been talking about here has essentially been about self acknowledgement, embodiment. And a lot of the things that go into us not having motivation to do things is because we're thinking externally about how things will be perceived, or how this makes us look, or how this thing impacts our reputation and stuff like that. And not to say that that's important, but it's not going to motivate you to do it. Thinking about that stuff isn't what makes you motivated to do it. I mean, for some people it might, because um if you're a very influenced person, or easily influenced person, the opinions of others or the representation that it gives others might impact you or motivate you enough to do the thing that you want to do. But if you're someone like me who has, excuse me, been working on establishing doing things more from a sense of self, um excuse me, then doing that isn't going to be nearly as nearly as beneficial. Sorry, I lost. I was trying to find the word. As it would be. Um, so as you acknowledge the reason it is that you are unmotivated, and you you need to take that reasoning and then ask yourself whether or not that's something that you think is justifiable. So today, there wasn't anything for me justified. That there's like, I sat down and I didn't sit down. I walked around, I paced around, because it helps me think and process information better about it. I was like, okay, what's the reason for me not to do these things? I didn't have it. I didn't had nothing really, you know, other than the realization that a lot of the reasons that I didn't want to do them is because of an external viewpoint, viewpoints that I was making in my head that I thought that others would think about if I was to do it. And that is not necessarily for the videos. The videos are a little easier, which is kind of weird, but more in terms of like writing, drawing, and then like some of the stuff that I was reading, because I was for whatever reason I just thought externally, if I was to do these things, how would they make me seem, or I wasn't gonna do them well enough, and then this is gonna be embarrassing, or this book really isn't anything worthwhile reading, and then if I didn't have, or if I wasn't able to extract the information I needed from it, I just kept thinking all these other stuff, and I didn't think about the experience itself, and that's really the key, or at least the important bit of it, is that you have to think about what the experience can do for you. And I've said that in like the two other videos too about that. But when that's really what it has for the motivation, if you have a deep sense of love, if you have a deep sense of love for yourself, or acknowledgement of that yourself, then you'll be willing to bring yourself to do those things. And it wouldn't necessarily feel like bringing yourself to do it. You just be doing it because it's an act of love, you know. So it's a I was about to say a test of faith, but it's more of just a token to your appreciation of yourself. Whenever you are capable of working past that feeling, you are rewarded with the opposite feeling, if that makes sense. Because it's like a what is it like? It's like a if you ever play like table tennis, foosball, or table hockey. Table hockey, I think, is a little bit more of a less niche reference. It's like when you and your opponent are consistently bouncing the pick back and forth. It's a good rhythm. And then the moment that you break that and you go, woo, it goes right in, it makes you feel good. But it's that reputation, that it's the momentum that's building up, that's like smashing into each other. That's I don't even know why that example even crossed my mind. um, but yeah, I think that the important bit is to acknowledge um that what's the reason behind it, to understand the reasoning behind what makes you feel not motivated to do the thing that you want to do, and then also just assess whether or not that's a valid reason for yourself. It may sound weird because some people get their goals and their tasks guide their, or their goals and their tasks influences their ability to enjoy their life so much that, excuse me, missing a day or not always being in the mode to do it is very detrimental to them. It really messes them up, and it used to mess me up too. And then it all it did for me was it made me want to lay in bed even more, because it was like, oh, might as well not work on it. Excuse me, because what's the point? I already feel like bad. I already feel bad, and working on it now makes me gonna is making me it's going to make me feel worse. But it wasn't until like I really assessed, I was like, okay, what's the logical reason for me not to do this? All right, there is no logical reason. And for people who can't operate off of logic, or at least that don't naturally go, or who the logic isn't necessarily enough for them to motivate them to do the thing, um, to that I just say, how would it make you feel? You know, if you had already completed the task, or if you had already did it, you know. Also, I do think I mentioned it back in the vocabulary video. I think um, the vocabulary that you use is also very important too. Because if you're saying that something is a task or a job or a duty, it changes the enjoyment that you have for it, especially if that term is crossed used with other things. So if you hear, oh, it's your duty or your job to do something that you feel dread from doing, and if you apply that to doing that to something that you enjoy, then it's gonna make you feel dread doing the thing that you enjoy, and then I think it won't even be the thing that you enjoy anymore. And then you would also get, because you refer to the thing that you do as enjoyment, but you also refer to it as job. You then will feel things that you have enjoyment for as the job, and it sounds like I'm making it up, but that's how language works. At least in my experience, is how it worked. Is how it's always worked. When I started changing and deliberately using different phrases to explain different feelings, or to define different actions that I do, it changed my ability to do those things. It changed how I did those things and how I saw those things as well. This is why I'm kind of vague when I'm talking on here, because everything that I'm talking about it doesn't necessarily go into like like creativity is also more philosophy, but it can also be transferred into a bunch of non-philosophical or creative paths. You could do things very analytical with the stuff that I'm talking about too. I mean, excuse me, everything feeds back into like a system. Um, so I mean, all this stuff can be applied to anything, especially this. Um, but yeah, I think I've used up all my brain cells tonight for these videos. I just recorded like 3 or 4 videos. So yeah. If you guys want me to talk more about this topic, I mean, I do want to refine my thoughts, so I might upload my next video, which would be the final of the streak. Um, where I'd go deeper into a bunch of topics that I wanted to talk about. So yeah, stay tuned for that. See ya.